Welcome to The Economy. How do you measure that? The show that pulls back the curtain on official statistics and how we keep track of a rapidly evolving global economy. Today, we're talking about something that many of us have used: short-term rentals on digital platforms like Airbnb or VRBO. Whether you're staying in a treehouse in Costa Rica or renting out your basement in Berlin, Airbnb has transformed the accommodation sector. But how do we measure it? Joining me is Venkat Josyula, an expert in external sector statistics and national account statistics. I, on the other hand, am an expert in using short-term rentals. So let's start from the beginning. So what exactly is the business of these short-term rental digital platforms? Like, what are they doing?
At its core, the platforms that are facilitating short-term rentals, such as Airbnb and Vrbo, are digital intermediation platforms. They connect buyers, those who are looking for accommodation, with sellers, the property owners offering short-term stays. Importantly, they do not own rooms or houses. They facilitate the transactions in goods or services intermediated using these platforms.
Okay, so if they don't own the rooms, which you said, it's not an accommodation service per se that they're providing. What are we actually measuring when we measure these digital intermediation platforms, or the output of these digital intermediation platforms?
Let me again go back to like Airbnb. Let me take it as an example. The output of platforms such as Airbnb measures the economic value they produce using the fee or commission they receive from buyers or sellers or both. How the transactions are recorded, let me explain. Here there are two important things, that's what you are asking. First is that the traveler is recorded as buying accommodation services from the property owner. So this is recorded as travel services in balance of payments. On the other hand, Airbnb is recorded as providing intermediation services either to the host, if the fee is taken out from the total payout, or to the guest, that is traveler, if the fee is explicitly paid by the traveler, or both. This is what the transactions look like when you look at them.
Right. So I mean, this is great, and obviously this is a complicated transaction. So, I'll just break it down just so I understand correctly. Let's suppose that I rent a place in the Bahamas for $3,000. That's what the owner of the place is charging, $3,000. But in fact, I pay $3,250 because $250 is going somewhere. Can you break all this down for me? Like what's going where in my $3,250 transaction that I'm paying for a $3,000 room in the Bahamas? Bearing in mind I'm Canadian, Bahamas, all these different things to consider. How would you record this?
So when you book an accommodation through Airbnb, as you said, $3,250. Although you are paying $3,250 to Airbnb, $3,000 is going to the host in Bahamas. So that way, that is going from Canadian side to the host in Bahamas. This is import of accommodation services recorded as travel services in balance of payments. That is what about $3,000. The second one is $250. This is the fee which we are talking about, the intermediation fee Airbnb charging. So this is basically Canadian is importing intermediation services from Airbnb. Here Airbnb is located, headquartered in USA. Then we say that Canada is importing digital intermediation services from United States. That is what we do this. So here all the three parties involved are clarified now.
So statisticians need to update their collection instruments. They need to collaborate within the country, say the revenue authorities, but also between countries, that there needs to be some collaboration between countries, either where the platform's located or the country where all the travelers are going. So there's a lot more work, it seems, to be able to record this. In fact, I'm starting to see even on some customs declarations when you travel into a country, they ask where you're staying. Sometimes they list short-term rentals as an option on those forms. That's it for this episode of The Economy. How do you measure that? If you enjoyed the episode, like, subscribe, and share. And remember, behind every short-term rental transaction, there's a statistician like Venkat figuring out how to measure it. I'm Jim Tebrake. See you next time.